Tonight's guest was beginning his Major League career. Ted Williams signed an autograph to him that read, "To a sure Hall of Famer." Williams was prescient, good word, huh, John? Because on his plaque in Cooperstown, it reads that he redefines standards by which catchers are measured during 17 seasons with the Big Red Machine. This two-time MVP wasn't just the greatest all-around catcher of my era, but of all time. I welcome my friend Johnny Bench. How are you?
Thank you. Very high praise coming from you. Thank you very much. Nice to be with you.
It's high praise because it was deserved. When Ted Williams signed that autograph to you, I mean, how could this guy know? I mean, it was about like it back in 1969.
It was. It was in spring training, and I wanted to get a ball signed, and I asked, I think it was Royce Sievers to go over and ask for me. And he said, sure, and he went in and handed him the ball, and he handed it back to me. And I didn't read it, actually, until I got back to towards the dugout.
You'd played 1 year in the
I played 1 year, and I'm looking around. I mean, I think, you know, I don't know about candid camera or anything about it this time, but I'm at the point where it's saying, Ted Williams actually knows who I am. And until later on, when I had the baseball bunch, and I actually did a show, we had Ted on as a guest. And the night before, we were at dinner. And we're sitting there, and I'm sitting next to him, and he says, what do you think makes a curveball curve? And I said, well, I think it's the rotation of the earth as it goes around in the ball. And I turned away really quickly. And I never, because we were at the end of dinner, and I never said another word to him. And so everybody goes to the room, and I get up the next morning, and I'm picking him up to take him to the park. He hasn't closed the door. What do you mean, the rotation of the earth? I said, well, are you talking about when the seams hit the air, when it pulled down on the seams, and the pull of the rotation on the seams, and it hits the air? He says, you had me up all night. I can't even believe that. And that's the way he was.
John, I remember, and I'm not trying to over-flatter you or anything like that.
That's okay. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, fine. I used to sit on the bench, and I used to look at you catch, and I would ask myself, how does he do that? How did you do that?
I didn't have any other way of doing it. And I'll tell every catcher and every kid that ever wants to pick up a mitt, when parents ask me, what do I tell my kid? He wants to be a catcher. I said, catch every ball. And that's the way life is. If you, no matter what profession, and if you catch every ball, that's what it was. I had no flexibility. I've never touched my toes in my life. My L5 grows into my hip. I have never touched my toes in my life. I have no flexibility whatsoever. And so
people are out there saying, what? Johnny Bench has no flexibility?
Tim, when I was 17 years old and I signed, I went for my physical with the Tampa Tarpons. They sent me to the doctor to get okayed. He said, all right, touch your toes. I said, I can't touch my toes. And I got to the top of my ankle, somewhere around there. And he said, son, unless you get some more flexibility, you're never going to be able to play. And so I started using the round glove like everybody did. I had been up to watch the Cardinals and Darrell Griffith, who played with the Dodgers. They were playing, and I got a glove from Jeff Torborg. He gave one of his brothers, Darrell Griffith's brother. And so I had this glove, you know, and I'm like this, and I broke my thumb, and then I split my thumb, and I said, this is crazy. I mean, here's Randy Hundley catching 160 games, and he's using a one-handed glove, and I think even Elston Howard had used it a little bit. And I said, the only way I can stay in the lineup is I could use the one-handed glove and keep my hand out of the way. And so I started using the one-handed glove, and, you know, I started backhanding stuff and doing things that just came natural. I mean, I was trying to catch every ball. I was blessed with my father's hands, and I don't know, I never thought about it. Everything was reactionary to me.
But blessed with your father's hands, your father must have he played semi-pro ball in Bangor, right? Bangor, Oklahoma.
Yeah, he served 2 hitches in the war, didn't get to play. Played some semi-pro against Satchel Paige and the likes of that. I love to tell the stories, but, you know, his dream was he wanted to play so badly, and then he wanted one of his kids to play, and I was the third son. I saw Mantle playing on TV one day. The announcer said that here's the next superstar switch hitter from Oklahoma, and I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, you can be from Oklahoma and play in the major leagues? That's what I want to be. And he said, well, catching was the quickest way to the major leagues and what the major leagues needed.
Bangor had 760 people.
661, yeah.
661.
Yeah.
Son played.
Graduating class of 21.
Graduating class of 21. How far was Commerce, Oklahoma, where Mantle was from?
Oh, long way.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was all the way to the corner of the state. It was up near Missouri almost. So, I mean, if we ever got, we were at the back of the pickup truck up to Oklahoma City. It was 55 miles. I mean, that was a road trip.
We're going to talk about Binger, Oklahoma, and Eakley, Oklahoma. I know that's going to draw you right after this.
The Tim McCarver Show. 15 minutes could save you 15%. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com.
I don't know, I just,
Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com.
We are back with the Binger Banger, Johnny Bench. You hadn't heard that in a long time.
No, I haven't.
And we told you we were going to tell you about Eakley, Oklahoma. A pitcher by the name of Mike Moore was pitching in the 1989 Earthquake Series. We're trying to find out where Eakley, Oklahoma is. I tap on the window. Johnny's doing radio with Jack Buck. Tap on the window and bring Johnny over. And I said, where's Eakley, Oklahoma? He said, right near Binger.
Yeah, 12 miles, 13
So we're
miles.
trying to find out where Mike Moore was from. And I thought that you said your brother delivered him gas, but you did.
I did, yeah, I did. Well, my dad had a propane business. We had liquefied petroleum gas. I drove the gas truck. And I would go up there and load the truck, and I was only 15, you know, when I was doing this. And I would go up there and I would take those valves, and I would try to tighten them so tight my dad couldn't undo them. Of course, then I'd ride up to the loading place, and Dad would go, you know, it's like...
Was Eakley bigger than Binger?
Oh, no, gosh. I mean, we were 661. They were like only 300 and 400 people.
Yeah, I remember Steve Hurt called the fire department that day. They weren't open. The police department weren't open. He called and tried to wake up the town of Eakley, Oklahoma, and they were all watching the World Series.
Well, that's like when I run Rookie of the Year, MVP of the Year, when I was MVP in 70, and we had a parade in Binger. I mean, you know, I had dignitaries from Cincinnati coming down. Doc Pfeiffer rode in the back of his convertible. He's the only guy that had a convertible in town. So I'm in the convertible, and we've got all the cotton trailers, and we've got them with those put those tissues in there, and we've got them, congratulations, Johnny, and everything else, and we go down to the end of town, down to Opit's Gin, and Farmer's Gin was right beside it, right across from my brother's gas station. And so we all got in line. And so now the parade starts, and we go uptown. Nobody's there. They're all in the parade. Everybody's in the parade. We got two drunk Indians come out of Mike's bar and say, hey, what's going on here? And
So you had no spectators?
nobody. No. I mean, we drove down, and and then when we made the U-turn, then we were able to see each other coming down. The others just were passing by. This is what we did. So, you know.
That's well, we talked about the World Series and the earthquake and everything. I followed your lead when it hit on October 17th at 5:04 p.m. I'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. And I didn't know how to react. I'd never been in one. And you went by the booth and you motioned me, and I took off, and side by side we went down.
We got right underneath that steel girder. I had been in enough of them. I knew that was the safest place. And then, of course, it was unbelievable. We had no idea what was going on in the bridges in the town and everything else. But, I mean, those light standards were shaking. And, you know, it seemed like it went on forever, but it was a very short period of time. But it did so much damage. But then we went back to our booths, and I walked into the booth, and Jack, who hadn't moved from
Jack
Buck hadn't moved from his seat, and he said, if you'd have moved that fast when you played, you wouldn't have hit into a double play. And I guess that was life.
You mentioned the 1970 season. I don't think any catcher. I know no other catcher's ever had a year like that. And it happened. You were what, 23 years old at the time?
Yeah, I was actually 22. 22. Yeah, born in 47, and I just, you know, everything was magical. I didn't think there was anybody to get me out. I actually approached hitting in one way. I always, this is 1972, fifth game.
Against Dave Justice.
He's down, we're down 2-1. Palm ball, hit in the air.
Palm ball.
Change, hit in the air, deep right field. This is a home run. It's off by the blue. This is a home run.
That was in the All-Star game.
No, this was 72 actually.
Oh,
the home run I hit was in the All-Star game off Vida, but this was the home game that series won 7 games. And we had a misjudged fly ball in a couple of plays that really hurt us, and we should have won that World Series. But I was thinking about, you know, the different things back in '70 that I actually looked. I looked breaking ball and adjusted to the fastball. I mean, that's just the way. That's how quick I thought I was. I didn't think there was anybody who could throw a fastball by me. And then when you face a Nolan Ryan or somebody like that who didn't have a great breaking ball, it was something. But those were the days. Then '72, the other MVP, and then 2 days after I turned 25, I had lung surgery and had the spot on my lung.
You had the lesion.
Yeah,
right.
I was the first surgery of its kind, the staple surgery in history. And but it changed after that. I never was the same. I mean,
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, they cut muscle, they cut bone, they cut and nerves, and no, it never was the same. I was disappointed I didn't do the things I really wanted to do in baseball.
What else would you have wanted to do?
Well, I mean, it did a lot, but I think, carrying a ball club and being so dominant, being the one at the plate that could make the difference. And I lost a little of that edge. I never, because I knew it wasn't as quick. I mean, it wasn't balls I was getting to. And there was throws that was just this much off and stuff like that. It doesn't take a lot as a professional to know when the time to hang them up is, or when you really start to feel the downward trend. But I wanted to win more. I wanted to do more. It wasn't numbers or anything. It was just the idea of just being out there. I loved it so much. The one thing I think I'm the most proud of in all my playoffs and World Series was I think I went 27 games without a stolen base. And that's the difference. That's the things that make the difference in winning and losing. Because as a catcher, you know how much we like to control the game.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to get a guy pitcher. I mean, you catch Gibson, okay, and I could get Seaver and Gullett and those guys, but to be able to get a guy that didn't have the good stuff and to get him a win,
yeah.
Gosh, you walked into that clubhouse happier than he was, because you knew the job that went out there that day.
We'll be back with more from Johnny Bench right after this.
Enjoy the quintessential Manhattan experience.
If you're
Where'd you get the confidence to feel that you could throw out any man alive or hit any fastball?
I don't know. I mean,
where'd it come from?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I came to play baseball. I was always playing in the older leagues. I played when I was, when I was 14. I was playing American Legion baseball with 17 and 18-year-olds, and I was always a couple of years ahead. And I don't know. I just assumed that I was supposed to play Major League Baseball. And the first time I came up was when we played the Cardinals in Cincinnati, and here's Brock. Man, I got a chance. Maybe, okay, fine. Here's Lou Brock. All right, he's it. And so he hits a double. I said, geez. Wait a minute, he's getting a big lead off second. Maybe he hadn't heard of me. Maybe I'll just throw it through a car wash and not get it wet. Maybe I'll just pick him off second base real quick. So on the next pitch, I get a little nods to the shortstop. So Lou gets that big lead again, and I come up firing. Just a rocket down to second base, and Lou just walked over to third. It was like, he just looked at me like it was just nothing at all to be done. And I mean, it was great. It was a great learning curve. Every time you're out there, the guys who are the successful guys don't make the same mistake.
But to prepare for it, John, your dad used to have you throw the short center field.
Oh yeah, 150, 200 feet. I would stand. I took every slat out of our shed. We had the shed, and I put a coffee can up on that shed, and I'd stand there, and I was 75 and 3 lifetime pitching, and
wow.
in little leagues.
Wow.
And but I would stand out there, and I would throw at that can, and throw at that can, and I'd back up, throw at that can, and I'd try to take the boards out. And my dad never said a word. I hit every rock out of the driveway twice, gravel. He'd put another load in the driveway, and I'd stand out there with that bat split in half, and I'd hit every rock. We played tin can in the backyard. I mean, tin can with an old mill nut can, and we'd throw it. And, you know, you hit it a couple of times. You have to hit it in the air a certain distance. But if you hit it a couple of times, all of a sudden you got some dents in it. Now you can throw screwballs, you can throw curveball, slider, and then it became a little missile, man. I mean, then it became a little just a ping, you know, and you'd rocket the thing. But that's what our life was about. You worked in the fields, you played basketball, you played baseball, played home run derby down at the park. And how I got to where I was, I mean, as far as, you know, cocky and, I always
never consider you
I
cocky.
always call it an inner conceit. I think that was the main thing that people have to have. An inner conceit is an ability to be better than the situation. So I never took it up on myself. My team was the most important thing, and I had to do what I had to do.
I don't think I ever saw a guy who could transfer the ball from the mitt to the hand any more efficiently than you did. Some guys could do it quickly, but not efficiently. Thurman Munson could do it quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But he threw the ball.
Yeah, but he never, you know, he never got it.
He never got it. That's right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
But he had to make up for it because he didn't have the arm. I mean, it was just amazing.
This is what we're talking about with the transfer from the glove to the hand to the throw. Now, you can't be any quicker than that.
Well, I make the kids in the minor leagues. I think everybody laughed about that because that was Paul Blair looking down saying, "How the hell did he throw me out?" He said, "I was already through all the way to third." But I think that my kid, every time you play catch, you're working on transfer, and I mean, I don't think there's anything else. It's just until you just can't do it. And you know, I'm from here to 15 feet. I'm as fast as anybody. From after that, I'm done. But everything is just a reaction. That's what my dad said. You throw it by your ear, you catch the ball, you do it, and everything else. And that was hard to do because I pitched more than I ever caught. Everybody knew I was a catcher. But I pitched the 6 games our high school when every final we won the state championship. And we had a kid that would play third or catch but wouldn't play third. Then I went to the American Legion baseball, and they already had a catcher. I had to go to another town. So I played first, then I played third. Everybody knew I was a catcher, but I didn't catch. I mean, it was just amazing.
What a great life, a catcher that didn't catch.
I think I caught 17 games in American Legion baseball. The Reds had no clue who I was. I got drafted by the Reds. They had no clue who I was. In fact, Jim McLaughlin was in a hotel in Baltimore. Some of the scouts were sitting around. It was the first free agent draft. They said, "What do you think of this kid Bench?" And Jim said, "We're not that high on him." And walked out. Said, "Who's Bench?" And they sent in Tony Ribello and Bob Thurman. Saw me play 2 games, liked the way I catch. Baltimore was interested, and the Reds drafted me 2nd round.
What a prize. Cincinnati Reds signed Johnny Bench and gave him $10,000 as a bonus. We'll be back with Johnny right after this.
Want to improve your golf game? Saddlebrook is the place. The 20-acre golf training center encompasses 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com.
Earlier in the show, you heard Johnny Bench talk about the 1972 World Series, saying that they should have beaten the Oakland Athletics. You never forget that, but there were a lot of things that happened in your career that were so good, you can't bemoan, some of the bad things that happened. Oh, you can't?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's my right.
One of them
One
of them wasn't beating the Phillies in 1976 when you and George Foster hit, or George Foster and you back-to-back home runs.
You remember that?
Do I ever?
Do we?
I was in the bullpen that day.
That's the only reason we won. That's the only reason we won.
That's saying the right thing on the right show.
The great moment of my career, and I hope, and I want to hear yours, was the '75 World Series when we won. And that being an MVP, being a Rookie of the Year, doing all that other stuff's great. But you have to call people to have a party. You walk into that locker room after you win the World Championship, and there are 25 players, all the coaches, the trainers, equipment man, and you're all world champions. I don't think there's any greater moment in anybody's life than to be a part of that. So I was blessed to have 2 world championships. People say they don't miss it, but I mean, they've had a great career. But they're right. That ring is important.
I had 2 also in 1964 and 1967,
Right.
and when Gibson came back on 2 days rest after pitching a 10-inning game in Game 5 to beat the Yankees 5-2, and then come back in Game 7 and he won 7-5, pitched a complete game. And those are things that you never forget. I'll be back with Johnny Bench for a final segment right after this.
The Tim McCarver Show is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%. Call Geico at 1-800-947.
Ever thinks that's possible, because that is a place for the fantasies. That is the place for the Cy Youngs and the Babe Ruths and the Lou Gehrys, for the greatest players who ever played this game. And now to be a part of them and share with them this plaque to hang on the wall and to be a part of the greatest thing that's ever happened in my lifetime and in a lot of people's lifetime, to be a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. To quote one person who probably made catching more important outside of Roy Campanella, a guy by the name of Yogi Berra said, "It's not over till it's over." Yogi, it's over. We have made it, and thank you very much.
Back with the final segment from Johnny Bench. We've had fun during this break. Johnny, I finally got you on. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. We'll see you next time.
The Modern Business